All right, Bears fans, welcome back and bear down. And we're going to make this one a little bit quicker. Just some thoughts on day 3 as we have one pick remaining. Will Ryan Poles stick with one pick, or what will he do? So far, we know King Poles has been cooking. This is what we needed before the draft. On the left, we've picked 1-1, 1-9, 375. So we've nailed 3 of our 4 most important needs: Caleb Williams, Romo Dunze, and Kieran Amagaji, all with picks that I think were exceptional for the position. I think Caleb, perfect at 1-1. Romo Dunze, I had as my 3rd best player on the entire draft, regardless of position. And Kieran Amagaji, it's Karan, actually. I've been saying it wrong the whole time. Karan Amagaji is, to me, he should have gone in the 50s or 60s. So we got steals. So if you look at the boxed areas, this is where I see our biggest positions of need. Defensive end first and foremost, defensive interior, and then tight end 3 and backup center that can learn under our current regime. Guard isn't as important as it was before because of Ryan Bates. And let's look at our top 30 visits. We've nailed 3 of 3 for our picks that had top 30 visits. It's a little easier to do when you only had 3 top 34 picks and 3 picks so far from the top 30 visits, but we've nailed 3 for 3. You can see on there Austin Booker is still available. Cam Hart, I don't see us going cornerback or safety, but some of the ones that we did have come in. So there are some options still for the Bears. I think this last pick won't be from the top 30 picks, in my opinion. But here's a pretty extensive list of position of need from what we just showed. And really the right side is really what we need. And right, if you look at rank, those don't matter anymore, because this is a position in the draft where different analysts and different people weren't looking at certain people. So some of these guys are higher or lower than they should be. Some of the guys that I really like, just to point out, I like Austin Booker. I like Brandon Dorless. Those are easier to see. I like Javon Solomon. I like Muhammad Kamara. I like Gabe Hall. I even like Eric Watts and Braden McGregor later on. So those are some guys to look out for. I only put Brennan Rice on here because of the connection with Caleb Williams. I don't see us taking another wide receiver, but one thing that could happen is if we do trade back a little. And I know this is a draft where Ryan Poles said he could just take the 4 and be happy, and that's absolutely true, because really with our 2nd round pick, we traded that away and we ended up getting Montez Sweat with it. With our 4th round pick, we traded that away and got Keenan Allen with it. With our 5th round pick, we traded that away and got Ryan Bates with it. So we're not in bad position. You look at our depth chart, and I've got it shown here. And yesterday, yes, Ryan Poles did say Kieran Amagaji would be the backup tackle, the swing tackle, and he said with his potential, he could definitely turn into someone who could be a long-term starter, but we'll just see how it goes. So he didn't allude to him taking over for Braxton, but he has said before it's always good to have that competition in there so these guys can battle each other out and make each other stronger. That's what I said yesterday too, is I do see Braxton Jones starting this year. By the end of the year, we'll see what Kieran can do, but he definitely came in, long arms, huge potential, and I love the pick. But now you have Matt Pryor as the backup tackle that has played guard as well. He's played both positions. So it very well could end up looking like this, and we could be done. You saw I had guard as a need. Well, Matt Pryor has played before, so maybe Jake Curhan is the 4th tackle, and Matt Pryor fills in for that role as the backup guard as well with Ryan Bates. And that's really what you go into the season with, is 9 guys dressing or being available on the 53-man roster. And that's really not that bad of a look right now if you look at it. We've gotten rid of Ja'Tyre Carter. We've gotten rid of Larry Borum, who are our 2 biggest weaknesses. Can we use more depth? Can we use a better long-term center? Absolutely. And we see how the season goes. This is why I like the whole Connor Williams situation with our draft, or with our cap space situation, is if he gets healthy by the middle of the season, one of these guys really isn't panning out, because really Jake Curhan and Matt Pryor are flyer guys. They're not long-term, and they're really just filling in gaps to get depth that aren't really solid depth. So if one of those guys aren't working out, you can move Ryan Bates to Matt Pryor's position, have Coleman Shelton go to the backup center position, and have Connor Williams come in at the end of the year with a long-term 3, 4, 5-year deal with a cheaper year this year because of his injury he's coming back from. So I like where we're at on the offensive line. Where we're not fixed now is on the defensive line. We've got solid starters. I like our core guys. They played really, really well at the end of the year, too. We brought in Jacob Martin. We brought in Byron Cowart. We have Zach Pickens still developing. Khalid Kareem, to me, is not a long-term solution. He's really your ninth guy on the defensive line that you just have there as emergency. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I love that Dominique Robinson is now getting where he should be off the team. So with the needs we have, with those needs boxed up still, this is why I could see, look at the bottom left there, a small trade down scenario. We're kind of past these days, but we know this draft kind of drops off after the 100 to 120 area. So we're right where it kind of drops off. So if someone likes, two ways this could go, in my opinion. Someone falls to us at 122 that Ryan Poles has been keeping an eye on, and we snag him. So if we snag 122, it's someone you know he's had his eye on. If not, some other team is looking at someone they've had their eye on, maybe a corner or a safety, or someone fell that they wanted, and Ryan Poles wasn't looking at them the same way, and they want to trade up. So I listed a couple that could be, just a small trade back. They could give us one more pick that isn't horrible value. And I will note the San Francisco one is a little bit of an overpay by them because they didn't have a pick around 190, 192. So that would be a slight overpay by them. But all these could theoretically happen. So this is kind of what I'm looking for and I think might happen. You could have us trade back 6 spots, 12 spots, 13 spots, 16 spots. You could see us just a small trade back, picking up a 5th or 6th rounder and filling 2 of these holes. Because really the tight end position, we could really refill that by re-signing Mercedes Lewis, which I'm a huge fan of that at this point. That's kind of where I'm leaning toward. And then if we fill a couple other of those, and then center, we don't have to. From what I just showed on the other slide there, let me go back to this. This could work out. The problem is if Coleman Shelton or Ryan Bates get hurt, we're in trouble. But going into the season, Coleman Shelton was a starter last year. We know Ryan Poles likes Ryan Bates, and he played decently well 2 years ago. Last year was not good. So I like him in the backup guard center position better than anything we had last year. So we're in a lot better position. We don't have to have that center this year, but I would really like to get that fixed soon. But we know we have 9 draft picks next year. So trading back and fixing the defensive interior and defensive end position or tight end, if it just works out perfectly, because there are some, Theo Johnson to pick up, go back and look at this real quick, to pick him up at 130 and then still pick up, say, Gabe Hall at 170. There's options here. So I'm kind of expecting right now the small trade back. That's what I'm expecting. But if someone falls best player available at 122, say Cade Stover falls to 122, which would be crazy to me, I would scoop him up in a heartbeat. Could Ryan Poles trade back twice? Yeah, he could generate 3 picks out of this. This is kind of what he did back in 2022. Trade down, trade down, trade down. But you look at the guys that we generated from that, none of them are really on the team still. Those are the Doug Kramers that we just showed in the other slide, center, who never really panned out. The Jatiri Carters. This is not the position we want to be in, but if we can get a small trade back and pick up 2 guys here, we're in a lot better position. So we're at the point in the draft where it's coming down to filling holes and not best player available, because I shouldn't say not best player available, because we've already done that and we could do that, but we're filling holes at this point. So we're really in a good position. This draft, no matter what, has already been a success today, and it's 100% exceeded expectations or finally met expectations. We can say that. We've met expectations for once on the draft, and now everything is gravy. But I do see this being a type of scenario that could happen for 128 for 6,204, and maybe even trading back from 128 to 138 and getting another pick, and maybe we another high pick, maybe another 5th round pick, but having to give back a 7th rounder next year in exchange for that. I'm okay with that, and we could fill a couple holes here. So we're in good position. These are some of the people that I'm keeping an eye on today. I think these are prime targets for the Bears. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully you guys enjoy the final day of the draft, and then tonight is when we start hitting that undrafted free agency. You're going to see it right after the draft. You're going to see them start signing players. You get notifications. I'll update you on here. You guys will see it. So until then, enjoy the draft and bear down.